Save your 10 to 20% and create your own funding blueprint, aka your own funding strategy, aka your own funding journey. This is going to be for traditional funding, especially if you're using the credit card stacking method. This is not for, creative financing. We're not talking about real estate. We're not talking about IBC, velocity banking. We're talking specifically credit stacking. These are the methods and the exact kind of sequence that I use with my clients. I'm giving you this so you can do the same. Now, I'm not going to give you all the exact banks, but I will tell you how you can start finding the banks so you can learn how to fish. I'm not tripping about it because I know that 90% of people aren't going to do it. And I'm okay with that. If you still want, if you still feel unsure, you want some help, I'm more than happy to put one together for you, walk you through the process. We can set up a consultation for that. But let's say you're in position and you're ready to build out a funding sequence or a funding journey for yourself. We always start with checking your credit. Always, always, always. You always want to be at a 680 or above. You want to make sure you don't have any recent late payments. If you have late payments, try and get them reversed. I would say reach out to your creditor, ask them to, talk to customer service, speak to a manager, explain the situation, ask them to reverse that late payment. This works best if you have like one or two. If you have more than two late payments, tap in with my, click the link in my description and get a team of people to work on your credit. Okay? But if you only got one or two, call them and see if they'll just reverse them, reverse the late payments. Pay whatever late fees you got to pay and get that late payment reversed and or updated to never late. Because one late payment can keep you from getting approved, can literally keep you from $50,000. Okay, so we don't want that one late payment to keep us from the bag. So always start with that. Always start with checking your credit for any blemishes. When it comes to negatives, like collections, charge-offs, you don't want those to be recent either. Some that are like 2 or 3 years old, you can still get some funding, some approvals, even with collections or charge-offs on your credit report, as long as it's been multiple years. I would say at least 3 years since the last time you had a collection or charge-off on your credit. All right. So we always want to check that. Next thing, before you even think about running any type of funding sequence, unfreeze your credit reports. So unfreeze TransUnion, unfreeze Equifax, unfreeze Experian. The reason for that is, of course, if it's frozen, they can't pull your credit. If they can't pull your credit, then they're automatically going to deny you. So we want to remove all freezes. And I'll tell you why very soon. Okay, so keep listening. We're going to get to why removing the freezes is important. The next thing you want to do is remove all fraud alerts. Fraud alerts slow down your application spree. Typically, what happens when you have an active fraud alert on your account, what's going to happen is you're going to submit an application online and they're going to tell you, oh, we'll be in contact with you. Keep a lookout. We're going to be in contact with you within the next 24 to 48 hours. It literally stops any type of automatic approval. And what will happen is that the bank is going to reach out to you. They're going to call you. They may send you some kind of link to verify your identity. I mean, I've gone through, because I tried to apply for credit while I had a fraud alert on mine. They made me scan my ID and take scan my face with my phone. Like, they made you go through above and beyond when you try to apply with the fraud alert. I mean, some banks, not every bank, some banks will just call you and just say, hey, is this you? Can you send us your photo ID? And then that's that. But with that fraud alert, it slows down the process and it makes you double verify yourself. You don't really want to have to do that if you don't have to. If you go for quick, easy wins, right? A quick 5, 10,000 per bank, then that's what you really want to go for. Having a fraud alert slows everything, keeps you from doing that. So once you do that, that is the foundational stuff. Also, before I forget, your age is important when we're talking about funding now. It used to be, 3 years was good. You could still get some approvals. 3 years ain't good enough no more. You need, I would say, 5 years minimum. Five, at least 5 positive trade lines. The more positive trade lines, the better. These trade lines need to be in your name. Primary trade lines. Authorized users, those are cool, but authorized users come after you build up your actual credit. They can still deny you. I see it all the time. The technology now is different. FICO 9, FICO 8, FICO 10, FICO 10T can all distinguish whether or not you have authorized users on your credit. Even on Credit Karma now, it literally will say authorized user or joint account. It tells them right there. And their software now with the banks, they can actually like sort it so it removes the authorized inquiries. So if you have a credit profile, let's say you're rebuilding, right? You're in the rebuilding stages and you're going for funding. Just adding a bunch of AUs to your account is not going to be the play. If you do get approved, you're going to get some BS type of approvals from some BS banks that you probably don't want to keep long term anyway. So when you're looking at an AU, please already have primary accounts on there. I would say at least five, and then those primaries should be at least 6 months old. The older, the better. I would even say a whole year of 6 months positive primaries. All right, because we're going for 6 figures in funding. I know people try to rush it, like, oh, yeah, I want 50,000. You see all these different data points: how to get 50,000, how to get 75,000, how to get 100,000. That's when you have age on your credit. A 6-month-old credit report, not going to get 50,000. So make sure you let those primaries sit, age, and simmer. The primaries that you do have, ask for credit limit increases every 6 months. That's important. I started off with a $2,000 Amex. Simply by doing credit limit increases over the years, that $2,000 Amex turned into a $22,000 Amex solely from credit limit increases. That's the power of maintaining a good relationship with your credit card and with the bank. You may start off with a low limit and it can increase gradually over time, right? You may not jump out there straight off the porch, straight into a $50,000 business credit card. You may just start with a 5,000 or 2,000 or 3,000, maybe at 8 or 9,000, right? Depending on your credit profile and your utilization. With that credit card utilization, keep it under 30% if you want higher limits. Once you go above 30%, you can still get funding. I'm not saying you're not going to get funding. You can 100% get funding. I've gotten funding with 45% utilization. Listen, I'm not a guru. I don't claim to be a guru. I'm a dude that loves credit, and I love helping small business owners get access to credit and get access to funding to grow and scale their business. That's that's what I do. So I do my best to help them get funding, whether their credit profiles are absolutely perfect or whether they have some blemishes and they need to work on it a little bit. So I've experimented with myself and with helping other business owners get access to capital. And there are a lot of different opportunities out here. Okay. So once you do that, you have all that laid out. That's the basic stuff. That's just to determine, hey, am I ready for funding yet? If you've done each of those things, you're ready to start thinking about and planning your funding journey. Okay? So make sure that is good to go. If you need help with any of those things, book a consultation or click book a consultation using the link in the description, or grab one of the ebooks. They'll walk you through how to do it too. Those links are in the description as well. It's hot out here. Let's talk about the funding journey. Once we set up the funding journey, right, to get started, first thing I always do, you always want to do this, start with pre-qualifications. Always start with pre-qualifications. Now, you may be like, Jamal, how do I find what credit cards are going to pre-qualify me? I'm glad you asked. We have this thing. Now we have two tools that we can use. The first one is Google. You literally type in credit card pre-qualification. You can type in, if you're looking for a loan instead of a credit card, you can type in loan pre-qualification. If you're looking for a business line of credit, you could type in business line of credit pre-qualification. Google will literally pull up dozens of websites with pre-qualifications for those exact products that you're looking for. Okay, so that's one way. And the reason I say that is because that way you don't have to, like, so many people say, oh, pay me for a special list. I got the download with the list. You don't got to pay nobody for no list of something that you can Google. Like, just fish for yourself. It's cool. It's easy. It's not hard. You just Google the shit. It's easy. Easy. You just can't be lazy. That's all. So we got Google. Next, we got our good friend AI. Come on now. You thought I was going to be like, you got AI. ChatGPT will also tell you about different pre-approvals that exist, because all it does is going to search the internet for you and put them all together. ChatGPT is so amazing because you can give it even more detail so that it will find the pre-approvals that are like the best fit for you. You can tell it your credit, what you're trying to do, what your journey looks like, how far away you are, if you want a house, if you're trying to start a business, whatever it may be. It'll actually do some preliminary research for you and give you links to pre-approvals. So those are two ways. Off the top of my head, some credit cards that offer pre-approvals, 90% of the major banks do. So Discover has pre-approval. Capital One has pre-approval. Truist has pre-approval. Key Bank has pre-approval. DCU, Digital Credit Union, has a pre-approval. Navy Federal has pre-approval. Their pre-approval, those if you're already a member. Okay? I said Discover. Chase, their pre-approval comes and goes. And then there's a ton of credit unions that have pre-approval tools. Okay? There are over 80 banks that have pre-approval options that you can apply for. All right? Of course, we know American Express has a pre-approval. Right? Citibank has pre-approval for their credit cards. You can use any of these pre-approval tools. Of course, who else? Apple has pre-approval. GM, the GM card has pre-approval, and the GM business card has a pre-approval. Bluevine has a pre-approval. Happy Money has a pre-approval. Fundbox has a pre-approval. Right? I think that was like 7 or 8 different banks and institutions that offer you pre-approvals. This is why this is important to do this before you submit an application. One, it's a pre-approval, so it's already going to tell you in some instances what cards you can get when you apply with that bank. They may even show you your credit limit. So then you can start to figure out, before you start doing the app spree, about how much money you'll be able to get from each bank. It acts much like a litmus test. If you ever done a litmus test, is when you, if you ever worked at a pool or been a lifeguard, you see the people, they dip the little stick, whatever it's called, into the pool and they shake it up, and then they look at the little bottle. Y'all seen them do that, right? And it change colors. That tells them how much chlorine is in the water, and if they need to add more or make a change, right? It gives them a general idea. It's like a test, right? It's literally a sample. You can use your pre-qualifications as a sample to determine about how much you're going to get in funding. So for instance, you run the Apple play. Apple gives you $6,000. Since they're underwritten by Goldman Sachs, you can kind of assume that the other Goldman Sachs card is going to give you about that much. That's the GM card, the GM business card. You can also use this as a litmus test towards other cards. Let's say a card that tracks the Apple card fairly close is like a Chase card, the Sapphire Preferred. Those two credit limits kind of work in tandem, where if you're going to get, a $15,000 Apple credit limit, you'll probably qualify for the Chase Sapphire Preferred. And if you get a $15,000 Apple card, then you probably are going to be in that range for other cards in the pre-approval. Apple is one of the few credit cards that actually tell you your credit limit before you accept the card, which is pretty dope. Most credit cards will just tell you whether or not you'll be approved, but they don't tell you your credit limit or the credit limit that you're pre-approved for. So Apple is great for that. I typically, what I'll do, I'll apply or have my clients do that credit card first, and that tells me, okay, this is kind of like what their credit is at. I had one client, they did the Apple card, they only got 750 bucks on that card. It was terrible. It was stupid. But then they turned around and went to Bank of America and got $3,000. Go figure. So just the fact that they got approved by Apple gave them the confidence to start applying for other cards. So they went from 750 to 3,000. Huge jump. From the 3,000, they went up to 6,000. They got approved for another card for 6,000. The pre-approvals are the start. And with pre-approvals, there's no hard pull. So you're already going to know whether or not you're going to get approved, what cards you can get approved for, and approximately the limits you'll get approved for without even impacting your credit. So we always start with the soft pulls. Next, after a soft pull, and you take the time to actually accept those offers, right? The next thing we do is we go to banks that only pull one credit bureau at a time. That's not true for every bank. Many larger banks will pull multiple bureaus, right? So you want to go to a bank that will pull one bureau at a time. Start with the banks that are in your area. Local banks, regional banks. We go through those. Nowadays, the local banks and regional banks will want you to develop a relationship with them. So you'll want to go in, you want to establish yourself with them, set an appointment with a banker, go in, meet with them, okay, already have an idea of what you want, and then apply while you're in branch. I was speaking to a branch manager, and he had some customers come in First day walking in, they opened up a bank account and he walked away with $90,000 in funding on day one, solely because they walked into the bank. Who knows what they would have gotten if they tried to apply online? But they definitely got the 90,000 because they went in, they met the branch manager, and he was able to get them a business loan and a business line of credit for a total of $90,000 because they went in person. So those more regional banks that are more relationship based, you can absolutely start by walking in, opening up the deposit in person, and then going for the products that you need. After we do that, we go to credit unions. We'll go we'll go for credit unions. We'll go for credit unions, of course, that you can just apply online. So it's a lot easier. We'll call those no relationship banks, right? Banks that don't have a relationship or don't need one, meaning you don't have to walk in, you don't have to open up any other accounts. You can just go to their website and submit your application. From there, we go to the big banks. Most big banks, national banks, we're talking Truist, we're talking PNC, we're talking, Wells Fargo, Citibank, JP Morgan Chase. Those banks will offer you credit cards. Bank of America, they'll offer you credit cards, and a lot of times you could just apply for those online. You don't even have to try to build a relationship with those banks. You can just apply online, they'll offer you the card, and you're good to go. Right? Those are, so that would be the sequence. All right, now you may be thinking, okay, what other banks would I need to build a relationship with? Here's a great way to know if the bank requires you to build a relationship. They will tell you on their website. For instance, Citizens Bank. Citizens Bank is geo restricted, so you need to be within their footprint. They're basically, for the most part, on the East Coast. So you can do a foreign filing with them to get into their footprint, but you can no longer apply for their business products online. You and you used to be able to, like last year and in 2022, you could just do it online. Now, instead of applying online, it says set an appointment. They want you to build a relationship. They want to know who's applying for their products. That's how it build out, and that's how I build out funding sequences for my clients. We do pre-approvals, we do local and regional banks, we do credit unions, we do large banks. We go with the banks that are relatively easy approvals, meaning that you can just apply online. From there, we go to more relationship-based banks. With the relationship-based banks, they will take more time. You won't necessarily be able to do a funding spree out the gate. You'll have to nurture that. You'll have to nurture that relationship. The days of just, oh, let me just open up a bunch of tabs and run it, they're not gone, but they have definitely slowed down. A lot of the banks that used to offer their business credit cards straight from their website have either just stopped it and got rid of it altogether, or they've hidden it, and they want you to first get a loan, or they want you to build a relationship in another way before they offer you their revolving lines of credit. So some of those is like FNBO. They have hidden their credit card link. Like I said, Citizens, you have to go in. BHG Money. BHG used to offer a credit card. Now, in order to get the credit card, you have to apply for and get approved for the loan first before they even offer you a credit card. The BHG loan is still great though, because it still counts as a business loan. Okay. These are ways that you'll build out your funding sequence. If you guys have any comments or questions, as always, leave a question in the comment section. Like, subscribe, and I'll talk to y'all later, all right? Peace.